In our baptismal covenant, we are asked, will you seek and serve Christ in all persons, loving your neighbor as yourself? And will you strive for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being?
When you read that, John, what draws you to the passage in the Book of Common Prayer as it relates to sacred grounds?
Well, since I became active with the Journey to Justice ministry, I've discovered that there's a whole lot about our culture and our history that I don't know, that isn't taught in the public school programs here in this country. And, well, sacred ground is one way that I can encapsulate some of that, learn some of those things that I don't know.
So what were some of the objectives that they pointed out that particularly drew you?
Right. The curriculum would look at the history of racism, racial healing, racial reconciliation. Mm-hmm. But what I was expecting, and I believe I come away feeling encouraged by that, is the opportunity to engage with fellow parishioners, to go through the content together, to share experiences, and I think most importantly to think about actions, think about things that we as individuals and as a community could change and leave the place better than we found it.
So give me an example or two of what were the most challenging things for you as a white man going through this program?
Well, I think something that struck me right up front was when one of the people on the national staff, the national clergy, said, this is white person's work. And she was black. And she said, blacks have been pulling the load on this issue for a long time. We need the white people to step up. And that stuck with me, that I needed to step up here. And I knew there were a lot of things I didn't fully understand about, whether it be black history, how black people feel, things I do that may not feel comfortable to them. So it's incumbent upon me to learn.
What is it that you personally hope, will be accomplished by providing this to the entire congregation?
One of the things we read as part of the curriculum, there was a section in there talking about love and the types of love, the ways. It was the people that Jesus said we need to love, and he loved. He loved his friends, his enemies, and he loved strangers. And for me, people unlike myself are often strangers, and I need to love them. And to love them, I think I need to understand them.
Why do you think everybody should do this?
It's a whole new understanding of our American history. And it puts, for me, it put all those pieces together. How I said it, I was inspired to come because it was always such a puzzle, just bewildered by this issue. And it put the puzzle together for me. And my understanding is so much deeper. So there's that level, and then there's the heart level. There's this connection. You realize how connected you are to other people. And, through the example of this small group, I feel deeply connected to these parishioners who were on this journey with me. But to be part of that is really rich and, grows your faith.
Well, tell me a little bit about why you wanted to do this.
I was exposed to a book by Charles Dew, The Making of a Racist. Mm-hmm. And he told my story Anyway, when I read this book, I realized that a lot of something important was missing in my life. So I've been on that search since then, with various things. But when this opportunity came along to do it through the church and through this program, I thought it made sense that this should be part of my journey.
Mm-hmm. What surprised you about the things that you learned?
Well, the degree of the oppression that all of these people, not only just African Americans, but Native Americans, the Spanish in the West, the Chinese and Asians. You take any racial group that's been discriminated against, and the violent nature of all of it, and people that were well educated, doing a good job, great community, and a group of others said, well, that's not right, and took it all away from them over and over and over throughout our country's history. And so I think just more sensitivity to the fact of how we got where we are today.
Mm-hmm. So then, now what?
That's the question I think we're all asking ourselves. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I do know that I do know that I can't be quiet. I can and will not just sit by any longer.